One of the biggest challenges in producing content is what are the steps, what are the stages, what is the workflow, and how do you manage all the pieces and puzzles that go into really producing a high quality piece of content that's going to add brand loyalty and convert to the next step in the buyer's journey stages. And so the software of choice here at Buyer's Goals to help manage that process is a native Google Docs app called Collavate that we've chosen because of its simplicity of integration with the authoring workflow that Google Docs offers. And so there are many other choices out there to manage your workflow process. You can look those up, but this one seems to be the easiest and simple to put into place right away. So I wanted to share with you the reasons why we've chosen Collavate, and so you can see how our workflow can possibly help your workflow establish a cleaner, clear, and more consistent visibility into the steps and processes that go into running, managing, and hopefully growing a marketing/content marketing department. So let's start off with this basic broadcast email template I created. So you would come in here underneath templates, you would choose a template, and it would show you a preview of what it looks like. And then it would give you the option to come over here and basically use the template that's been created, edit the template, delete the template, or share it. So starting a new broadcast email, we would come in here under Use Template. I would open it up. It would prepare both the template and the associated processes that we predefined for it. And it would provide something like this in the initial stages of the authoring environment. So instead of starting off with a blank Google Doc, you would have things that have been predefined by the team, co-created by the team, and everybody would be on the same page and be able to move forward without having gaps in what is downstream in the workflow process, which would be missing information. So this example right here is just a quick one. I created this box called Content Metadata. You would have an audience tag, a sender's name, an email address, and a subject line, and then you'd begin writing the content. So you can see here there are a number of roles and responsibilities that get built into the workflow. We'll jump over here and show how that's managed. So for instance, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps we created in the content creation process / approval process. And you would have 1, 2, and I'll show you what that means in a second, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, which would represent an email address and a name for each one of the different steps in the process we have created for the approvals. And we see here, starting off with number 1, we have number 1 with 3 different slots. You can have 3 different people who can be assigned to approve the first step in the process. It could require just one person or the requirement of all 3. But what we did here is step 1 a lot of times is determining the audience, who we're writing for, and what's the tag that we're creating behind that. That's usually a preliminary step in creating the campaign. It provides clarity to the person who's writing. It provides clarity to the marketing department as to why and who we're writing for, and then documents it and puts it into a codified set of steps that allow the process of creating content not to move forward unless those things are addressed. The next thing would be determining the sender's name and email address. That's important because from a writing standpoint, the author of the content, they're going to want to know the sender's name because that impacts the tone. If you've created different characters, different I would say personas for your, not personas in the creation of the audience, but different email senders have their own style, and so you want to make sure that the sender's name is populated and figured out ahead of time too, as well as the email address, which is important down the road when the person who's in charge of administrating and sending the emails, that's in here as well. And so all this information can be unbundled from being inside of one person's head and then distributed among different people on the team, maybe even different locations, based on the ability to know ahead of time and then build that into the template so the workflow can move clearly and cleanly from one step in person to the next with all the information they need to execute their job. The next step would be to enter the content metadata over here. We don't want to skip that step, so you want to figure that stuff out and enter it in there. The next obvious step would be who's going to write the content. Number 4, you would assign that to the author. Once the author is finished, It's always, like I've heard everywhere, you want a second set of eyes, maybe two sets of eyes, making sure grammar and spelling are taken care of. So then you would build into the workflow template the editor and grammar speller person, which could also be one of the same for the person who's responsible for the brand voice and the tone. Finally, at the end, once all that's just for this basic workflow, you would have a final approval before being sent out. However many of eyes and how many number of authorizations you want to assign to that, you can do that. And once that's finished, you would then have that approval automatically push that final approval to the person who's in charge of publishing and sending it, and it would give them the authorization and notification that this document, this content type is ready for release. So I just wanted to walk through here, breaking down what a particular content type, in this case a broadcast email, the workflow behind it and how to manage it, because you can manage the quality and you can measure the tone, you can measure all of those as long as you have a workflow process that allows the visibility of that to contribute to the consistency and clarity of the content. And so I wanted to give you, again, inside look into the approval workflow process we are putting here into place at Buyer's Goals